With us this morning from Avalanche Canada is senior forecaster Simon Horton, and there he is live in Kimberley, British Columbia. Simon, welcome to the program. I'm really looking forward to the information you have to share this morning. Hello.
Good morning, Heather. Thanks for having me.
If I go online, Simon, and I know you can't see this, but I know you'll know the map because your information has gone into the creation of it. If we go online to avalanche.ca, this is the map that pops up. This is the latest forecast from Avalanche Canada. What does it tell us, Simon, as we look at the conditions today?
Yeah, so at Avalanche Canada, we produce daily forecasts that give updated conditions that people can expect. And if you see the map today, there's many areas that are shaded orange on the map. That means considerable avalanche danger exists, which is dangerous conditions, and human-triggered avalanches are likely in those areas.
So looking at that, so green is the lowest risk, then yellow from there, and there's orange, as you say, right in the middle, and that's where around Caslow, around Nelson, those were the conditions that existed at the time of the deadly avalanche, right, Simon?
Correct, yeah. We were concerned about human-triggered avalanches in the Nelson area.
Okay. Just looking at that map again, if we just can come back to that quickly, from orange it goes to red and black, and unless my eyes deceive me, I'm not seeing anything like that presently, or am I wrong in that, anywhere in the province?
Correct, yeah. We rate avalanche danger on a 5-point scale, where 1 is low, 5 is extreme. And we're currently in the middle of that range with many areas at 2 or 3, moderate, considerable. And at the higher end of the range, it's quite common that we see large natural avalanches, typically during really stormy conditions. When we're in the middle range, where we are right now in many parts of the West, it's actually trickier to manage because we don't expect avalanches everywhere, but it is possible, or even likely, for people to trigger avalanches themselves.
And just for people, are you seeing anything out there that may change the map, change the colors on the map?
So there's a few different situations playing out right now across the West. On the coast, we're expecting a big storm to hit overnight tonight and into tomorrow and the next few days. That will certainly cause conditions to elevate along the southern coast mountains. It's a bit of a different story in the interior, where we're dealing with a more challenging situation where conditions aren't really going to change, but they're going to be dangerous for a prolonged period.
Okay, so if that storm rolls in, is that likely to change what it looks like, change the colors or any of the risk attached?
Yeah, our current outlook has the danger rating going up to high in many of the coastal ranges.
Okay, so pay attention to that. It's not just the weather, though. When you're making your forecast, what is the information that you use to assess the risk, Simon?
Yeah, so in addition to knowing the upcoming changes to the weather, it's really important to understand the snow that's on the ground right now. And we rely on field observations of people looking at the snow, the structure of that snow, and recent avalanche activity. These give good clues onto whether or not there's any type of weak or concerning structure in the snowpack. Right now, in many parts of the interior, there's a very concerning weak structure. That's what's being compared to 2003. It's a really tricky snowpack structure where people might not get obvious signs that avalanche threats are imminent, but if they do trigger an avalanche, it can be quite large and destructive.
And can you explain that? Here's another graphic we have. So that low snowpack, we were explaining earlier in the week, because of the drought earlier in the season and then the snow, things way down deep are weak. Is that what we're seeing reflected? We have you can't see it, Simon, but we have a map where weak layers in the top half, and then we have weak overall snowpack, and then at the bottom, various weak layers, including near the bottom of the snowpack.
Yeah, it was actually some prolonged cold, dry periods in November and December that formed weak layers, which are now sitting at the very bottom of the snowpack. They got buried up to 1 meter deep during storms over the holiday period. And now we're seeing people trigger avalanches that are actually running on these layers deep in the snow. And as a result, we get very large avalanches from that.
So you're one of the number of experts who've harkened back to that 2002-2003 season that was particularly deadly. How concerned are you about similar types of conditions and the risks this season may hold?
Yeah, so one of the important similarities we're seeing is that avalanche experts, professionals, guides, they're finding it quite difficult to manage their safety in the backcountry. And as a result, they're very limited in where they're going. They're not going to places they might normally go to because they don't trust this weak snowpack structure. That was the case for pretty much the entire season that year. And currently, in many areas, professionals are treating it similarly.
So you might not know. Just a couple of quick questions. Is it likely that these risky conditions are going to last all of this season?
It's hard to say right now because avalanche conditions change with the coming and going of weather patterns. But currently, as it stands, certainly some areas might see these conditions last for the whole season.
So people still want to go into that beautiful backcountry to ski or board or snowmobile. What is your message to them at this time then, Simon?
Well, first off, it's important that anyone going into the backcountry is aware and prepared to manage avalanche hazards. And the first step there is to take an avalanche training course. The Avalanche Skills Training course is a 2-day course that teaches you the fundamentals of avalanche safety, including how to recognize avalanche terrain. So that's really the first step that anyone considering going into the backcountry needs to do.
Avalanche.ca, lots of very essential information there, and we gained additional essential info from you, Simon, today. So thank you very much. Simon Horton in Kimberley, British Columbia this morning.